everyone. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to my Facebook Live. I am April Davis with April Davis Creations. I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up, and I'm so excited to have you here joining me today. I'm just going to double check some of my settings here to make sure everything's working correctly. If you are watching live, please do say hello, or even if you're watching the replay, let me know you're watching the replay. As I move forward, I'm going to be sharing things from my website and giving you kind of an update on some things that are going on, and then I'm excited to jump into these cards. Before I forget, please do like and share. I appreciate it when you do that, not only here on Facebook, but if you're watching this on YouTube, please like and share. And if you haven't subscribed, subscribe as well. The first thing that I want to do is talk about the door prize drawing. So every week I've been doing a door prize drawing, and this week I'm giving the Lighter Than Air DSP with the rainbow adhesive backed dots, and the winner of this particular door prize is Tanya Pearson. So Tanya, congratulations. I will be getting this in the mail to you. For this week, I will have the link to the door prize drawing form in the description or in my as a Facebook post, so you can click on that link for the Facebook post. It's also set up as a link when it gets uploaded to YouTube, so you can also participate in the door prize drawing in YouTube. And then also what I'm going to do is I'm adding a second prize drawing. How exciting is that? So I really appreciate it when you like and share my videos. So anybody who likes and shares my videos is going to go into a second drawing. So I'm going to have a drawing for the door prize, and I'm going to have a drawing for those who like and share. So next week I'll have two drawings. So I'm really excited for all of you. So thank you for doing that. All right, let's talk about what's going on right now. I'm going to switch you to my screen here for just a second. And I wanted to share with you that I have a BOGO sale going on right now. It started yesterday. It goes through Sunday. I have lots and lots of retired product. I've been a demonstrator for this time around for about 5 years. It'll be that 5 years in June. So I've got a lot of retired product that I would love to share with you. So here's how the BOGO sale works. You're going to go out to my store, and my retired product store. I'm going to show you that when we get to my website. You're going to go out to my retired product store, and you're just going to create a list of those items that you want with the prices. Then what you'll do is you'll email your selections to me at aprildaviscreations@gmail.com. You'll email your list to me. I will then go into my store and make those items not available, so nobody else can shop for those. Those are yours exclusively. I'm going to keep them exclusive to you for 24 hours. You've got 24 hours to go into my online store, my Stampin' Up store, to place your order. So for example, if you select $50 in retired product, then you're going to purchase $50 worth of product in my online store. The retired product is yours for free, and I'm going to pay for the shipping. But in order for me to be able to do that, the buy one, get one, you want to place an order in my online store for equal value. So I do have a video that I have attached in the description as well, so you can go look at the video. It basically goes through all of this information. But this BOGO sale goes through Sunday of this month, or of this week. That's March 30th. All right, I'm going to shrink this down, and now we're at my website. So to get to my website, you're going to go to aprildaviscreations.com. I've got it up on the screen if you can see it. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take you to the shop tab, and you're going to come down here to retired product. This is where you're going to go to create your list of whatever retired product you want. There's 22 pages of retired product. I'm sure there's something there that you guys are excited to get your hands on, and I want it to go to a loving home. But make your list, include the price, and then after you're done with that, then you'll go to shop Stampin' Up. That'll take you to my Stampin' Up store, and you can place your order. As soon as I get acknowledgement that you have placed your order, then I will put your retired product in the mail to you and cover the shipping as well. All right, so while we're here at my website, I want to show you, and I'll show you these in live as well, but I want to go to clubs and classes. My Crafting Happiness monthly card club for April just opened for registration. So you can come here and learn all about the Crafting Happiness monthly card club. You get a kit shipped to your front door every month. You make 8 cards, 2 of each design, and I'm going to include a lot of product in there for you to be able to create your kit, your cards, and also a PDF tutorial. So all the information is here. I'll show you the cards here in just a second. But if you haven't subscribed and you love working on kits and fun, cute cards, definitely consider the Crafting Happiness Card Club. All right, while we're here, I'm going to come up here to to-go classes, and that's what we're doing today. Today is a to-go class. Today is a class where I teach you for free how to create these cute, cute cards, and then if you're interested in getting the kit to create these cards for free, all you need to do is go in and place an order in my online store. Now, this week, I also am offering the kit separately as well. So that information will be in a Facebook post after I finish my live, and then there'll also be a link to it in the YouTube description as well. I don't do it every time, but this time I'm able to do that. So if you're placing an order in my online store, you need to use this host code. Otherwise, you can click the links that I'm going to provide to you later, and you can just purchase the kit itself. And the kit will come with everything you need to create the cards, with the exception of the bundle. I don't provide the bundle. I don't do any stamping. I don't do any die cutting that's in the cards. But if you have that bundle or you have something very similar to what I'm using, then you can use that. But you'll get that, and you'll also get the tutorial. All right, let me see if there's anything else I want to bring in here. I'm going to come back and see you. I know that that was a lot. I'm going to remind you to please like and share. Let me take this down so you can see that. That's going to help me. Plus, it gets you into a drawing for a sweet prize. I've got all kinds of goodies for you. All right, let's go to... I'm going to pull myself up here, and let's go to my desktop for just a second. Let me take this down, and I'm going to share with you the set that we're using for the Crafting Happiness Club. I just talked about it on my website, but I wanted to show it to you as well. We're utilizing the Textured Notes bundle. We've got cling stamps for this, but look at these dies, guys. I would go with these dies just to have in my stash all the time because they're gorgeous dies. They're rectangles, but they've got all kinds of designs in them. I don't know if you guys can see that, but I love these dies. So this is the bundle that I'm utilizing for the Crafting Happiness Club. You are going to get a half pack of this designer series paper. So you're going to get a 6 by 12 inch pack of the woven textures paper, and then you're also going to get a full pack of the neutral matte dots. You're going to get a pack of linen thread, and then you're going to get the cardstock to create the cards. Do you want to see the cards? Oh, I love this woven paper. So here's card number 1. Isn't that pretty? And then we have card number 2. You'll have all the materials that you need to create these cards. All you need is the bundle. And then you'll need, obviously, the inks and such to be able to create. But isn't that, it's just so fun. I'm loving this set. So that's the Crafting Happiness Monthly Card Club for this month. Let's look at now the cards that we're creating today. I have to tell you a story. We had my granddaughter this weekend. My daughter has 3 children plus 1 on the way, and she had a dance competition with her oldest daughter, and so she was away for the weekend, and so we divided and conquered with the other 2 children, and my grandson went with one set of grandparents, and my other 5-year-old granddaughter was with us. And so we spent Saturday evening watching Beauty and the Beast. And then Sunday, we took her to see Snow White, which I really enjoyed. I was talking to a girlfriend this morning and she was telling me that it got terrible reviews. I don't know why. Maybe it's the kid in me or something, but we saw Snow White. And now look at me. I'm playing with Peter Rabbit. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the grandkids or what the story is, but I'm loving all of, just kind of going back to my childhood and enjoying Beauty and the Beast and Sleeping Beauty. And now the Storybook Friends set that works with Peter Rabbit and all of his friends. So we've got the Storybook Friends stamp set that again comes with its dies and frames and photopolymer stamps. And whenever I have anything extra, I just keep it in the set with me so they don't get lost. But we've got all of his little friends and such. And then we've got the Storybook Garden Patch, because remember, Peter Rabbit liked to get into Mr. McGregor's garden. And so we've got the Garden Patch, and these are actually cling stamps. And then of course the dies to cut all of this out. But what's fun is that with this suite, you also have the paper. And the paper is called Storybook Moments DSP. I've pulled it out so that I can just show you some of it because I've had so much fun with it. But obviously we've got garden tools on the garden, and the backgrounds are fun for backgrounds for your cards, or rabbits, more backgrounds, strawberries. And the dies can actually cut out some of these. Look at these homes, so pretty. And then this particular piece of paper, DSP, it has detail, or a design on the background, but then they've got like little swatches of designs as well that you could actually cut out and use for your card fronts or your card inserts. And then you also, and I've taken these apart, but you get a couple of sheets of this ephemera, and the ephemera has all the little critters and such that you can actually put onto your cards as well. I keep them in one of my die packages just to keep them all together. But how fun is that? I've had so much fun with this set, and who'd have thunk it? I remember Peter Rabbit when I was a kid. I remember Peter Rabbit when my children were growing up. And now I'm dealing with Peter Rabbit, not only in my Stampin' Up business, but with my own grandkids. All right, let me move this stuff out of the way and we'll get back to the cards, because I know that's why you're here, to see the cards. So we have, let me see. We have this one, and you can see that I used the background, or the back side of the paper, side B, if you will, for this one. And we're going to create this one first, but look at this one with the rabbit and some of the garden items. And then isn't this sweet? It's Somebody Loves You. So we'll get to these in just a second. We're going to start out with this one. So I'm going to bring that kit up front for you. And basically I'm using very vanilla cardstock. Then I've got some wild wheat. And I'm sad to say, wild wheat is on its way out the door. As soon as the new catalog comes out and the new ink colors take effect, wild wheat will be leaving. And even though it wasn't my favorite when we first started, when I first learned about wild wheat 2 years ago, I have loved it ever since. So I'm really sad to see it go, but it coordinates with this paper, so this is great. So we've got the designer series paper, and then I have 2 frames, and I'll share with you why I have 2 frames. So these frames come in this set, and it's right here. Okay, so basically what I did is I cut out 2 because I want the wild wheat frame, but I want the very vanilla insert. So I'm going to put these off to the side. I can use these another time, so we'll put those away, and we're going to start with doing some inking. And so the first thing that I'm going to do is bring out my little mat, and we are going to stamp a couple things. So I'm going to pull out a little mound of dirt. Let me see, my mound of dirt is right here. We'll get a stamp for that. And then I'm also going to pull out the little bunny that I used, and I think it was this little bunny. Let me double check. Yeah, it was that little bunny. All right, the other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out some masks. And I'll share with you how I'm using these masks in just a second. So I think I have everything I need except for my blocks. So let me pull out my blocks really quickly. And I need a long block for here. So I'm going to go ahead and get that on there. And then I can use a smaller block for the bunny. So I'll put the bunny here, pick him up. All right. So the first thing that I'm going to stamp is the mound of dirt. So I've got some, I'm going to use my Memento black ink. I've got my pad here. I'm going to bring in some scrap paper. And we're going to go ahead and ink up the mound. So let me get that done. And I'm going to go this way. Okay. So I'm going to get that big carrot. And I don't really need to do the whole stamp, but I've got enough of it that we'll go ahead and we'll get this carrot in there. Probably right about here, I'm thinking. Okay. Try to get a good adherence there. So I've got my mound on there. Let's go ahead and clean off this stamp real quick. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my mask. So I stamped the mound on a piece of Post-it note paper, and I can pull this off. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to line it up with what I've already stamped. So I've got that lined up, okay? Now what I can do is I can take my bunny and we're gonna stamp the bunny. So let me go ahead and get him inked up. And then I'm gonna place him, he's gonna be behind the mound just a little bit and behind the carrot. So the fun part about this is when I stamp, I just stamp my bunny straight down, but watch what happens when I pull my mask off. Now my bunny is placed behind my mound, which is so fun. So let's go ahead and I'm going to put the mask down so I can save that, and then I keep it in my case, my stamp case. And now what we're going to do is we're going to bring in some Stampin' Blends, and I think I'm going to use a light pecan pie, and then I've got some for the carrot. I'm going to use pumpkin pie for the carrots. I'm going to use Old Olive for the stems of the carrots. I'm looking for my light crumb cake. I'm going to do my bunny and light crumb cake. And then I've got some light petal pink that I'm going to utilize for the ears. So I'm going to take myself off screen here just a second. Let me see if I can do this. There we go, so that you guys can watch. I promise I won't take too terribly long coloring, there's one other thing that I need to do. I need to ink the sky. Let's go ahead and get this done before I do the coloring. All right, so in this card, you can see that I have a blue background. So what I'm going to do is I've got another mask for the bunny. Let's go ahead and get this placed over the bunny. Get it lined up. I need to line up his ears, because I'm going to do my coloring all at once. So now we've got our bunny down. If I wanted to, I could go ahead and put the mask back down for my dirt mound, but I'm really not planning on bringing my ink in that far. So I have a blending brush and I have some balmy blue ink. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to ink this up. I'm inking on my glass mat so I can tap that off, and then I can just start to blend. And I'm going to keep it fairly, not high, but I don't want to go into my grass. So let me go ahead and I can blend this again, and I'm just going to keep layering color until I get it where I want it to be. If I wanted it to go all the way up to my grass, then I would go ahead and put the mask on. But that's not my intent, so I just want to keep getting my color dark, right? And I can pick up ink from my glass mat as well, and I'm just going to go ahead and continue to ink this up a bit. I'm just swirling around, and you can see that whenever I do this, I'm always starting off and then coming on instead of pouncing on my paper itself, because if I do, then it will actually leave a mark on my paper. So that's good enough for me. I'm happy with that. So let me close this up and move it out of the way. And now what we can do is we can take the mask off, get underneath it. Here we go. Very good. Now I have a blue sky on my mask, and it's probably a little bit darker than normally would be because I did it in very vanilla. So it's just a little bit darker. But now what I can do is I can start coloring. But before I do that, I want to take my chamois. Let's see, I've got it here. I know I've got ink on my glass mat, and I want to make sure I get that all wiped up before I start creating some more. All right, so I've got that all cleaned up. Easy peasy. I can come back in now, and I'm going to start coloring. So let's go ahead and get our, oops. Sometimes that happens. I gotta work on this. When I take my lid off, I think I'm too strong and I pull it all out. So has anybody seen the new Sleeping Beauty? I don't know why I was told that it had gotten bad reviews, but it is a little bit different than the fairy tale story that we had. There's no prince, but she does have her love, if you will. And she does have to be woken up from a kiss. But I even cried in the movie when they were all, the dwarves and all the animals were around after Sleeping Beauty had eaten the bad apple. It was such a sweet scene, and to watch these deer, and because all the animals were really lifelike. It just made me so sad because they were so sad that she had died, or, well, I don't know whether they thought she died or she'd fallen asleep, but she obviously wasn't present. So anyway, it was a really good movie. And my granddaughter enjoyed it as well. She's 5. We just had to take one break in the middle. We couldn't get through the whole movie without having to take a potty break. But other than that, she was really good and enjoyed the entire show. It's interesting how they're remaking all of these stories that at least I grew up with. So let me get my carrots colored on here, and then we're going to use crumb cake for the bunny. I'm going to get this bunny colored in really quickly, and then we can start working on building our card. So I'm just going to color it in. I'm not going to do any shading or anything. Oh, I see some green that I missed, so I'm going to have to come back in and add some more green I missed. So we've got that. I'm gonna put a little bit here, and then I'm gonna add some pink to it because the insides of his ear is pink. So we've got this. There we go. And then we'll do the green again, and we will be done with the coloring so we can start building the card. And other than the little piece that we did with the coloring and everything, this card is very, very simple to put together. So I'm going to bring back in the vanilla card base. We'll fold that in half. Use the bottom folder to do that. I think I do. I have ink on my hands. Okay, so got to watch the ink. I think this came from when I was using the mats and pulling the mats off. This is actually going to be the back of my card, but even still, I'm going to be giving this card away. So I have what we call a mono sand eraser, and I'm just going to take this mono sand eraser and I'm going to erase that little mark away. It was very light, but it didn't take much, and I was able to erase that away. And I'm going to make sure that I get my hands cleaned up. I've got some baby wipes here, but I've got that so that now everything's nice and clean. And I'm going to use a baby wipe just to make sure I have all that ink off my fingers. Another staple in my craft room for emergencies when I get my fingers in the ink, which happens quite often. Okay, so let's go ahead and we are going to mount the designer series paper to the cardstock, and I'm looking to see there is a direction to this. At least I think there is. I'm going to put the roses up. So let's go ahead and get some ink down, or ink, some glue down on this so that we can get this adhered. And I'm just gonna do a couple of things a little bit different this time. You guys are probably used to me doing that now. It's like every time I make a card, I change it up. Not drastically a lot, but sometimes. But this one, I'm gonna try something different. So we're gonna get this piece down, and I use the glue because I can wiggle it around, make sure that it's straight. And then instead of adhering this directly to the card base with glue, I'm actually going to use dimensionals. But before I get to that, let's get to the frame. So I'm going to pull out my silicone mat because I'm going to be doing some gluing. And I'm going to turn my frame over to the back, bring out my precision tip glue bottle, makes things easy for me. And I'm just going to start putting some dots down. You could cut this out with adhesive paper that it makes it like a sticker and you can just peel and stick it. I wasn't thinking about doing that. Half the time I don't think about it. I know it's a lifesaver. But again, I do like the glue because with the glue, I've got freedom to move things around if I need to, if I don't get things centered up perfectly. So I'm just going to go around the edges here. Really quickly, you can see I'm not using much glue at all, but it's plenty enough glue to adhere to the card. So I'm going to use my tweezers to help me pick this up. I'm going to turn this around, and then I'll bring this in, and I just want to center it in the card. Now, one thing that I didn't do that I meant to do, and one of the changes that I was planning on making is the fact that when I stamped the sentiment last time, trying to make sure I'm getting this centered. When I stamped the sentiment last time, I stamped it in wild wheat. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. I mean, it's fine, but it's kind of hidden. So this time around, I wanted to stamp the sentiment in just the Memento Black. I wanted it to stand out. Now, normally, I would do my stamping before I started adhering everything, because if I make a mistake, then I'm going to have to take everything apart. But I'm not going to make a mistake. I'm going to line this up. And even if it's not quite the way that I want it, it's perfect because this is a handmade card. So we have Hello Friend. Hello Friend does stand out a bit better now. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to, instead of having my rabbit pop up, which is what I did on the last card, I'm going to just kind of wipe that off a little bit because it's got some sand eraser on it. I'm just going to fit it right into the frame. And so it's going to fit down into the frame and it's going to be flat. In fact, okay, got it back out. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. And then, like I said, when I adhere this layer down to the card base, I'm actually going to pop it up. So we will have that dimension. It's just in a different place this time. So we've got our rabbit in there. So now he's in the frame. We have the Hello Friend that's easier to see. And now I'll turn this over and pull out my dimensionals. And I'm gonna put one in each corner. And since this is a big layer, I'm gonna put them down the side and then in the centers. So right here, here, and then I've got two more. You guys could probably get by with less, but do what feels good to you. Putting enough in that I've got plenty enough support for the card is what feels good to me. All right, so let me pull these up, and I'm just using my take your pick to help me with that. Keeps everything together, and then I can just pluck them off at the end and not have all these miscellaneous pieces. All right. Double checking to make sure they're all off. Yes, they are. And I'm going to do the glue on the back of the dimensionals. I do this because I need wiggle room. And these dimensionals stick really, really well. So if I don't get this on straight, I potentially risk tearing my paper. potentially. So let me go ahead and I'm going to lay this down and see how well I can do first time around. If I do need to do some adjusting, I've got that wiggle room to do it. Although I did a really good job. So the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in the antique pearls. The antique pearls are a part of the suite as well. So I'll pull these out and I'm just going to put a few pearls on with my take your pick. So I'll put one up here. Let me see. I'm going to do a smaller one here and then a medium-sized one right here. I always like to do my dimensionals in threes and part of a triangle. So here we go. Here we have card number 1, and it's very much like card number 2. The only difference is I popped up the rabbit, and this one I didn't pop up the rabbit, but I did pop up the layer. So I like them both, and I did add the hello friend in black. I like it in the wild wheat, but I just felt like it was getting lost. So at least it shows up here by doing it in black. Tell me, which one you preferred, the wild wheat or the black sentiment. All right, let's move on to card number 2. Card number 2 has a lot of little pieces. We're going to be using Old Olive cardstock, and then we've got a layer of DSP. I've already started stamping and coloring because I didn't want you guys to have to sit and watch me stamp and color the whole time. And then I've got a few other pieces here. This time I'm using a different frame that we've got. Again, these frames come in the stamp set, which makes it so fun. So you've got this one that we just used. We've got this one, and then we also have this one, and I'm going to be using this one as well. So I've used all 3 of the frames in the cards. So again, I had to cut out 2 frames because I want to use the pecan pie frame, but I want to use the white background. Or not white, but it's very vanilla background that will fit in here. So again, I'm going to take these 2 pieces off to the side and I can use them for a creation later. Let's go ahead and let's finish coloring in the basket. And we're doing the basket in pecan pie. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to color the basket in a lighter color of pecan pie. I'm trying to get this lid off without, there we go. A lighter color, and then I'll kind of add some accents with the darker color. Make sure I got the light one. I do. Good, good, good. Okay, so let me go ahead and get this colored in quickly. And then we'll add our accents. I had so much fun playing with this set. I had no idea that, as soon as I started playing with it, how much fun it would be. It just kind of brings the story to life, and you have control over that, which was fun as well. And it just kind of took me, like I said, back to my childhood. All right, so let's go ahead and I'm going to pull some accent here. I got to get my lid off. All right, so I'm going to make the inside of the basket a little bit darker. And then I'm just going to kind of do some flicking on these little, I'm going to call them, this is a woven basket. So this is the area where all the weaving is, just to give it kind of an accent. So we'll do that on the handle, and I'm calling it good. Now we've got our basket. All right, so the next thing we have to do, of course, is cut these out. But before I do that, let's go ahead and finish up our stamping, because then I'm going to be ready to put this card together. So we are going to stamp "Thank you very much" in this window. So let me bring my pad back in. I like using the pad for my photopolymer stamps. It gives me a cushion. And I'm going to use the pecan pie ink. So let's go ahead and do that. So get that good and inked. And then I'm going to do it at the top, because I'm going to be kind of hiding the bottom a little bit with all the little goodies that we're bringing in. So I'm going to go ahead and "Thank you very much." Get that stamped. Looks good. Clean this off quick, because I get ink on my fingers. cleaned off. And now we can put this off to the side for when we start building the card. And I'm going to bring in my cut and emboss, but before I do that, let's go ahead and get these placed so they're ready to cut. So I'm going to bring in the Storybook Garden Patch, because these are all from the Storybook Garden Patch, and we'll pull those dies out, and we have the watering can here. So I'm going to use some of my mint tape to, wrong one. There's two. This is the insert. This is the insert. Do I have that to show you? I don't think I have that to show you on this one. But if I wanted to and I hadn't colored this in, you can cut your watering can out of two different dies. This is the main die, and then the other one was more of the detail die. But I don't need the detail die for this one because I colored it instead. All right, now I've got a die for my lettuce. So let's go ahead and get this lined up. And I'll get it taped down. And then we have a basket die. Let's see, where's my basket die? Right here. And last but not least, I gotta cut out my carrot. Here's my carrot die. Get it lined up. And I already, hopefully I didn't lose him. Yeah, I already colored and cut out my rabbit. So we've got that to go. So we're just gonna do these. Let me move this stuff out of the way. And because now I gotta bring in the big cut and emboss. So I'm gonna turn here. Oh, bring this in. And then bring in the sandwich for it. And I've got it going the wrong way. I need to turn it to work for me. Okay, so now we'll go ahead and get these on the tray, and I can cut them all out at the same time. So let me get this in here, and then we're just gonna crank. I need to get my stamps out of the way, and we'll go ahead and get this cranked through. All right, off to the side. Get these out. I'll use that again in a minute. And out to the side, and we'll have these ready to go. I'm going to save my tape for another time when I have to cut. It stays sticky for a long time. All right, here's my watering can, and then last but not least, our basket. All right, so we've got those pieces. Now what I need to do is go ahead and get these back into my case so I don't misplace them or they don't get lost. So I'll go ahead and get that done. Okay. Now let's go ahead and bring in the rest of the card and start to build this card. So first things first, we're going to fold our card base. And I'm going to use my bone folder to burnish my edge. And then I'm going to utilize this DSP as my background. So let's get this down. So I shared that my granddaughter, she is 7 and she's in competition dance. So mom was with her this weekend for competition. Next weekend, she also has a competition because this is competition season. She has a competition in Little Rock, Arkansas. So we, mom and myself and Briar are all taking a road trip to Little Rock, Arkansas. Let me see if this piece needs to come out. So I'm going to just grab it with my tweezers. So that we, first of all, so Autumn doesn't have to travel alone. Dad will have the other 2. And I I can keep Autumn company. Plus, I get to be present for the competitions. I go when I can, but they're pretty much every weekend, which makes it difficult because we have plans on the weekends as well. So, but I'm excited. So I will be traveling to Arkansas this weekend. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take this frame and we're just going to center it up high on the card to start. So I want to get it in the middle as best I can. Okay, so we've got that. Then we'll take the sentiment and we're going to go ahead and put the sentiment down. Keep my glue down at the end so it's, I don't have to shake it up so much. And we'll go ahead and place this in here. Okay, so we've got this going. Now we'll go ahead and we're going to start to build the little basket that we've got with all kinds of goodies and such. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to adhere some of the vegetables. Let me see, do I want it like this and then maybe like this? So my carrots are sticking out of the basket, but let's go ahead and I'm going to put just some glue right along here. And then I can go ahead and I can adhere my lettuce. Because the basket's full. There's more veggies in that basket. You just can't see them because it's full. And so these are the ones that are just kind of hanging out the basket. Because it isn't a very big basket, right? It's kind of a very skinny basket. So it's probably, you know, not very deep, but long. And so you can layer a lot of different veggies on that. So then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take some dimensionals and we're going to adhere this with some dimensionals. So let me pull some of these. Whoops. This one. And then I've got some others that I pulled out. I'll use these later. All right, so we've got this. And then I'm also going to put some dimensionals on my water can. So let me go ahead and get those on. And I think I need to bring out some little mini dimensionals. So I'll bring out this little one to go at the top of the water can. And then I think I could maybe get one on the side. Let me see if it shows through. Kind of does a teeny tiny itsy bitsy bit. But I'm just going to take my snips and I'm going to kind of angle it off so I can't see it as much. But I think, yeah, I'll just do that. And then that will prevent me from seeing it. Okay, so move these out of the way. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my veggies down first. And I'm going to kind of center that right about here on the card. And then we've got our watering can. Okay, and then we'll place it right about here on the card. Okay, and then we've got our rabbit, and our rabbit's gonna go right here. Okay, so I'm only gonna put, because this is up so high, on my last card, I got the feeling like I needed to stack my dimensionals. Even though this isn't really too high, perhaps because I've got my lettuce and my can on top, it just makes it seem like it's too high. What I mean, too high, that way, too high. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this one on, and then maybe I'll put a little one at the top of his head. So let me find my little minis again. And I'm gonna put one right here at the top of his head. I'm not gonna worry about his ears. So there we go. And now what I can do is I can take him and line him up here. And his head should be right about there. There we go. So thank you very much. Oops, sorry. Thank you very much. The only thing that I'm gonna do to this now is I'm gonna find my little embellishments, and we are going to add a couple of embellishments to this. So let me see. I think we're gonna go from here and here maybe right there. And then I'm going to take another one and I'm going to put it right up here. Okay. And now we have card number 2. Isn't he cute? He's so cute. And I'm sure he's happy because he's got lots of nice veggies to work with. All right, card number 2. Now we're going to bring card number 3. Let me clean my mess up just a little bit. Card number 3 is a fun one as well. It's Somebody Loves You. So let me get those out of the way. Bring it back in. And really, really simple. If I bring the kit in, we've got the boho blue. Boho blue is also going away. So sad. Boho blue, old olive, and then I've got the frame. Same thing. I had to cut out 2 of them. So I want this frame and I want the white. So these 2 are going to go back in the envelope. I've got some designer series paper that's here. And then we've got our bunnies. I'm going to do a little bit of coloring on the bunnies. And then I also have a piece that we're going to put on the inside, and we're just going to carry the strawberries from the outside to the inside. So we'll do that in just a second as well. So let me put this up. And I'm going to go ahead and color the bunnies because I'm going to have to bring the cut and emboss back in. And one of the things that I want you to see, I used the exposed brick 3D embossing folder to get the texture that you see on the front here. But you'll see it's only on one side of the cardstock. So I've got my cardstock cut differently this time, but we're going to do the same thing. And when I get ready to do it, I'll show you what we're going to do. But I do need to do some embossing. But let's get our coloring done first. So I'm going to color his overalls in boho, and I'm going to color her dress in cherry cobbler. Okay, so let me go ahead and I'm going to use the lighter for them. So we'll get that done, and I'm just going to, these are very, very thin straps. The best way to do those is to barely touch the paper. And then I can go ahead and I can get the rest of him colored in. I love to color. I love the blends when it comes to coloring. I can also color with the markers, but I tend to use the markers more for the stamps, where I can color on the stamps and then stamp with the markers. But when it comes to using the blends on the for coloring, I'm just in love with them. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna kind of give him a darker belt, and then I'm gonna come back in and I'm just gonna highlight some of these areas. And then I left my light open because what I'll do, and it's actually blending really well right now, but I can bring my light back in and do some blending. And honestly, I don't need to do much, that's for sure, because it's already doing it. So I've got some highlights to his pants. And then we'll go ahead and we're going to do her dress. And I'm basically going to do the same thing. I'm going to use the light cherry cobbler for her dress. I'm actually going to leave her collar, her waistline, and her little sleeve. I'm going to leave that white to add a little bit of accent. I colored it in last time, and I'm like, oh, I think I want to leave that white this time. So subtle little changes, but after you've done something with your card, you look back at it and you think, next time I do this, I'm going to do it just a little bit differently. And that's what I do. So we'll get that colored in. And then I'm going to do the same thing with my dark cherry cobbler. Whoop. My dark cherry cobbler is I'm just going to kind of take these little pleats, if you will, and I'm just going to kind of blend them in. So we've got our sleeve right here, and that just adds a little bit of accent to her. So these guys are ready to go. We're going to die cut them, so I need to bring in that stamp set again and pull out these 2 dies. So let's find the dies for these guys. Here's this one. Is that right? That's not the right one. I know I have them. Let's see. It's not that one either. Where are those dies? Okay, wait. Here's this one. Takes me a minute. Okay, so we got the gal. We got the girl one. Now I just got to get, oh, here he is. I had it in my hand. Okay, so let's go ahead, and that mint tape that I was using before, I'm going to pull it over and get this lined up. And get that down, and then get this one. And we'll start by die cutting, and then we'll switch to embossing. Make sure I get all this together. All right. Okay, so moving this out of the way, I'm going to bring back in the big cut and emboss. There we go. And the plates, I'm using my cutting plates. So I'll go ahead and get these guys on here. Get that piece of paper off of there. Just because I don't want it, well, as long as I don't put my die over it, I just don't want it to dent my rabbits. All right, so let's go ahead and crank this through. Okay, so we'll set this off to the side, and then I'm going to leave this plate, and now I'm going to do some embossing, some 3D embossing. So I need to bring this plate in. So basically what I'm going to do, I've already got my paper scored. You can see where my paper's been scored. This is going to be a vertical fold. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my embossing folder, and I'm going to bring it right up to where my fold is. Okay, then I can close this up, place it in, and then we'll crank this through. Okay, let me move this out of the way. Then I can pull this out, and you can see now that it's embossed up to that fold. I'm going to fold it this way, and I'm going to be very, very careful with my burnishing, because what I don't want to do is I don't want to burnish my embossing away. I probably should have burnished it before I did that, but anyway, so now we've got our front. So I'm going to move that off to the side. We can now start to build our layers. Oh, I guess I should probably pull our rabbits out. So let's go ahead and do that. So we've got Peter, I'm gonna say it's Peter, and his girlfriend. He's giving her lettuce. Isn't that sweet? I just think that's so sweet. Makes sense, right? To give a head of lettuce to your girlfriend. All right, let's put these away real quick. And now what we'll do is we will do one more stamping. Let me pull this out of the way. And we need to stamp "Somebody Loves You" on the end. And there's a little bit of ink on this for some reason, so I'm just going to use my Mono Sand Eraser. I don't think it was me. It might have been when I was working previously. And then we have "Somebody Loves You," and I have my old olive ink. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And get this lined up. And at the bottom, there we go. "Somebody loves you." Or I'm sorry, "Some bunny loves you." Okay, put that off to the side. And now, let's start to build. So we're going to take... Oh, you know what? We'll do it again. We'll do it in a minute. Let's get the front done. I keep forgetting because I'm doing the inside. I'm going to have more stamping to do, but we'll do that after the fact. All right, so which way do I want my strawberries to go? Does it matter? Yeah, I think I want them to go this way. So let me get these glued down. Centered on my old olive cardstock. Okay. Then I'm going to take the frame, bring back my silicone mat, and I'm just going to do like I did before, and we're just going to do little dots to glue it down. It doesn't really take much, and it goes fairly quickly. This keeps you from, first of all, doing too much glue and having to clean up a mess. All right, so we've got that. Use my tweezers to pick it up. I'm gonna flip it over. And now what I wanna do is I wanna basically center this here. And oops, I'm gonna just kind of eyeball it, and then I'm going to, because I don't have a lot of glue on it, it's not gonna stick terribly until I start to put some pressure on it. I think that's how I want it. So now what we can do, the other thing that I do a lot is I'll take my blocks and I'll use my blocks while I'm working on some other things. So while that's adhering, I'm gonna take my bunnies and I'm gonna flip them over and we're gonna add dimensionals to them. So tweezers, and we'll put one here and one here, one here, here, maybe her ears, which means that maybe I want another one right here. And I probably could have spaced his a little bit better because I feel like I want, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do little ones. I could use a big, but I'm just gonna use the little ones because I really do want some stability for him, but at the same time, I don't want to use the big ones. All right, so this is down. Now what we can do is we can take the Somebody Loves You and put that inside our frame. Okay, so we'll pop this in there. Fits perfectly. And now what we can do is we can add our, let me think about this. All right. I mean, we can. Okay. What I was thinking about, the reason I paused is I'm going to be putting dimensionals behind this as well. And because I'm putting my bunnies on first, that means when I turn it over, that means that those dimensionals are going to get kind of squished. Not really, but they could. And so I thought, well, maybe I should put the dimensionals on the main piece first and then put my bunnies on, but I'm not gonna be pressing that hard that I feel like it's gonna be a problem. Yep, those all came off. All right, so now we'll go ahead and put her on. Oh, isn't that sweet? Okay, turn this over. We're gonna do more dimensionals. Where did I put them? So on the back here, get that piece out of there. I don't know who it belonged to. Probably took it from another, it's this one. Found it. Let's see. These are sticking together. There we go. That one's off. All right, and then, okay. I'm gonna go ahead and do it like I did before. It's not as big, but there's still a lot of space. Okay, so let's get these off. That one, this one, this one. Okay. And I'm gonna do the same thing. I really want this centered up correctly, so I'm just gonna do little squiggles of glue on here. It's really funny. It's like as soon as I do this, then I do a better job of getting it centered. But mark my words, if I didn't do this, then it would be crooked. And it would be because I didn't put it on my dimensionals. Okay, so I'm gonna center this up. Actually, that looks pretty darn good. Is that right? Yep, that looks good. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the front, finish the front, and then we'll do the inside really, really quickly. So we're gonna put a few more bits of bling on here. So these are little pearl dots. Put that there, and then I'm gonna take a medium-sized one, and I'm gonna put it over here. Okay, so cute, 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 but we're not done. So let's bring this piece in. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stamp, let's see, where's my stamp set? We're gonna take the strawberry stamp and we're gonna stamp strawberries in the corner because we used strawberry paper, right? All right, there's my strawberries. Okay, so let me get a block. I'll just take one of these blocks. Switch the stamper down. So we've got our block. We're gonna go ahead and stamp them in Versamark. Or not Versamark, why did I say that? I don't even know why that came out of my mouth. Memento black ink. Memento black ink. All right, so we're gonna put our strawberries right about here. I really didn't need my mat because I'm using cling stamps, but that's good. All right, so let's go ahead. We've got that stamped. We're gonna clean off the stamp and we're gonna do some quick coloring and get it inside the card. Okay, so let's get our cherry out and let's get our old olive out. And let me see, let's do the light cherry cobbler. So I'm gonna get these strawberries done. Quick coloring with them. Fun. And then I think I'm gonna use the lighter of the, I'll use the lighter on the leaves and then I'll use the darker on the stems to the strawberries. So let's go ahead and get these colored in. So this is the plant leaves. Get that done. And then I'm gonna use the darker old olive for the little stems on the strawberries. Because those are darker anyway, right? Okay, get those colored in. There we go. Our little strawberries are done. Now what we can do is we can take this and adhere it to the inside of the card. And it is ready for you to put a sentiment and or just write your message. Somebody loves you. Maybe it's a love note. Maybe it's we've got Peter Rabbit and his girlfriend on the front that I could see something cute like that and sending it to your grandchild or to your mom, a friend. All right, so let me move this out of the way. Clean this all up, and we have card number 3. Isn't that cute? So, so cute. All right, so let me bring these back in again. So this was card number 3 that we did. And then we had Peter and his garden for card number 2. Make sure I get these in frame. And then we have this lone little bunny in the frame. Hello, friend. So, how fun. So fun. So remember, this particular kit is free. When you place an order in my online store, you do need to have the Storybook Friends and the Storybook Garden Patch, but you get everything else to create your cards. If you're only interested this time around in the kit itself, then you can purchase the kit and the kit will come with the tutorial. The tutorial comes with the kit anyway, but you can either get it for free or you can buy it. One of the two. Let me come back up, say hello. Thank you all for joining me today. I love my Tuesdays at 2 and I love sharing these fun cards with you. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget I have a BOGO sale going on right now and I will see you guys all next week. Take care. Bye.